listening to the music. Oh, get ready, get ready, get ready. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, yeah, it's me. It's your boy, the Louisiana Country Boy, coming at you live once more again with another episode of my worthless 2 cents table talk, where your approval is not needed. Oh, look at him, look at him, look at him. I just want to say, look at him, look at him, look at him. Y'all looks over there and y'all see that queen. The boy is back with a queen. Yeah, a queen. Yeah, a songstress. Yeah, a harmonizer. I got all that wrapped in the wall. Yes, indeed. Y'all, look at him. I went searching again. Old country boy went out there searching. Went out there baiting the streets. And boy, I tell you, I found me a queen sitting up there. And she has graced the scenes of the table. So look here. Old country boy ain't gonna say much more. He gonna share his old mind. Gonna tell
Yeah.
You know I got my famous. I got it. I went and got her. Oh yeah. Look at him. Sonic gonna have to start paying me for setting up here doing advertisement for them. Then Route 44. Y'all go by Sonic and get your Route 44. That's cheap. Make sure you go with happy hour now. Okay, look here. Without further ado. I like them big old words. I done learned some. Without further ado. The Louisiana Country Boy has the guest of the century. This is how we closing out the week, because this is the last show for the week. So my guest gets to shut this thing down. Shut it down. Well, look here. Y'all, sit back, relax, put on your head gear. Oh, Dollie, put something up in the hill. Woo!
Hey, Louisiana Country Boy. Now, first of all, that's not how I know him, but the name I know him by. But we're going to go by the Louisiana Country Boy. Well, what you want me to tell folks? What you want me to say? How you want to get started here?
You know?
Oh, my. Okay.
I'm just sitting here at the table. The Dollie Show.
Okay, well, so I had the privilege. I always have to go back home, and home, my home, is Grambling, Louisiana, which is his home too. And so we had the the privilege, the fun, the experience of growing up together in Grambling and going through Grambling lab schools and small town, but a town that is really rich because of all the people there and all of the things that we were able to experience, the quality of education we got when we were there. And for me, it's not just the quality of education. And when I say that, we weren't at a school that had a whole lot of extra stuff. But what we did have and what they taught us really has grounded us educationally for everything we've done since then. And that was coupled with having teachers who cared about us. And having in this little small school, I think we had maybe 60, if that, in our graduating class. So this is a very small school, and but a lot of love and a lot of friendships that have lasted for decades. And even if we haven't been in each other's lives throughout all of those decades, we still consider each other, and we just consider each other to be family. And that's just part of who we are. And we've been able, across the years, not just, I'm going to call him Donnie, that's who he is to me, Donnie, but we just, not just the two of us, but others in our school family, our community family, we've just been able to come back and meet up again and pick up where we left off, because that's just what we did. That's what we knew growing up, and we're just family. So, um, but I'm always excited when I think about the kind of talent that was in that little school, in that little town, and the kinds of things that a lot of us have left there to do. And most of us don't live there any longer.
Right.
But to me, in some ways, it's like Grambling uh, was the inseminator. So Grambling put seed in us, and then we got dispersed to other places to go do other things, to learn. We added on to what we learned. We added on our experiences. We expanded our worlds, but what was put in us early on, I think continues to bear fruit, not just in our lives, but because we've gone other places. It's bearing fruit in other communities, other cities, other people's lives. And so Grambling lives on. A lot of folks that way.
Most definitely. That is so true. As you were just talking, I was just thinking back. What you just said is like there's so many people, me personally, that have had an impact, not just just classmates, but teachers, and just not even teachers, just people in the town. Just thinking about it, kind of like we grew up in Mayberry.
Yeah. Hold on. On one level, Mayberry, and then on the other, Peyton Place. But we're not going to go. Okay.
But it is. As I think about that, a lot of people that are, I'm gonna say, like city born, city raised, don't have. There's some things about it they could never grasp.
Yeah.
The the knit of it, the closeness of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not, we can talk about all the areas up that way. We can talk about Grambling, we could talk about Simbah, we could talk about Fellowship, Arcadia, that whole area, but there's that closeness that's there when you move that stuff away from the city.
Yeah.
When you man, woo, and I ain't gonna tell you, it'd be kind of, take some of that city stuff back, but I had to take Sonic or something back down there, but
Now we had one for a minute, but that's another story. And I appreciated the staffs who brought it on there, but yeah, we are that small. Yeah, we don't have Sonics any longer.
But it is indeed is family oriented. It is support. It is love. No matter where we are, and you are right, we are dispersed throughout this whole beautiful country, throughout this world. We have dispersed out, but we are taking that which was that foundation.
Yeah.
We are taking it other place, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. Wow, and the wonderful things that you're doing. But it got established. That foundation.
Yeah.
Got established right there. Right there in that little old town.
Oh, yeah. The things I do educationally, the things I do musically, the things I do in church and religious world, all that kind of stuff. It all has foundation there. And some of it was this. So thinking about our teachers again. And some specific ones, and I'm going to call Mrs. Aileen Hayes' name because she's on Facebook. So just in case she sees this, I want her to know. She was one of those teachers who had high expectations.
Yeah.
And so there's something when people expect something of you. Something different happens. It doesn't mean you always meet the expectation. And doesn't always mean you want to meet it.
Right.
But when people expect something of you, it says, at least it said to me, that they see the capability for me to do it and for me to meet their expectation.
Yes.
And sometimes I think we need to know that somebody sees capabilities in us that we may not see in ourselves.
Yes.
I'm shifting to church a little bit because I was thinking, among the many things I do a lot of things, and that's just my reality. And so I finally learned to accept I just do different stuff and I do a lot of things. That's just it. But in terms of ministry and all of that, I was thinking back to one of those ice storms. Now, when we have ice storms in Grambling, everything just shuts straight down. And I think I was in college. So about 2 or 3 of my friends from campus, we had gotten them. They were at the house, and it was Sunday morning, but nobody could get to church anywhere because there's ice on the road.
Right.
And when there's ice on the road in Grambling, as it is with most of the South, most folk ain't trying to go nowhere because they don't want to run off in a ditch or run off a bridge. So you just stay home and you wait for it to thaw.
Right.
Okay, so it was Sunday morning. Had some friends, and then my parents, my brothers were gone by then, but my sister was there, parents. And we had decided we were going to have a church service, my friend and I. So we did go around the corner and get one neighbor. She was a member of Lewis Temple, and we went, got her, picked up, brought on around the house. And then here my friend and I, now she played piano, I sang, and I guess I decided I was going to do some kind of message. And I'm just doing something because we can't go to church. So I hadn't given any kind of thought to ministry, wasn't looking for no call, wasn't asking for a call, whatever. I'm just doing what I do. And I so I'm actually, we had planned out the little, and I'm leading this worship service. And when I look back on that, I realized, I said, huh. And they were listening to me and paying attention to what I had to say. I'm like a sophomore in college or something. So I'm just, whatever it was, I said. But, I'm leading service. And then it dawned on me years later that there I was back then.
Right.
When I had no thought whatsoever that God would call me, nothing like that. I wasn't even thinking about ministry. But I was doing it because that was something God had put in me.
Right, right.
And the people in my church community, they saw those gifts. Now, for one thing, they let me do stuff, right? And so I'm thinking about children, because how we nurture gifts in children.
Yes.
Because I see that's something we've lost a lot of, and that always concerns me, both when I've been a pastor, but just in the community in general. I'm concerned that we really don't make space for the children to be involved. We don't, parents aren't bringing them the way they used to.
Right.
Parents bring you, or somebody gonna come pick you up or something. But it was a certain level of commitment that my child needs to be there. My child needs to be involved in this church community.
Right.
And in that space, I'm just thinking about we just had Easter, so little Easter speeches.
Right, right.
Where you had to figure out how to memorize that little speech, and you couldn't stand up there and act a fool.
That's bad.
because one of those youth sponsors would come and snatch you if your friends didn't do it right. So somebody's gonna come snatch you if you come up there and acting a fool. But they took time and rehearsed you. So we had to go up to the church and do the rehearsal and all this stuff. And I'm going to talk about one of my church members, Mrs. Clarice Whitaker. She was our youth director at the time. And she would write these Easter plays. And so we acted out the Easter plays. And she had us in costumes and all this kind of stuff. And then we had our youth business meetings. So we were learning how to run business meetings in high school, junior high. And yes, we were learning about God. We were learning spiritual things, but we were doing all these. We were doing our fundraisers, so we learned how to plan and organize all this kind of stuff, and that's what I learned growing up.
Right.
Junior high and high school, and so there was space for me to learn these things, to practice stuff. Maybe not to always get it right, but because we don't always get it right, but there was space to do it, and for people to say, "Yay!"
Right.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. So today, even anytime I'm doing something that the children are involved, I'm gonna be saying, "Yay! Come on, baby."
Right.
And I want all those folk out there in the congregation to say, "Yay, come on, baby."
Yes.
And I had to tell a group recently, I said, you know what? I said, everything that you see me doing here, whether it is me preaching or leading worship or me singing or me playing the piano or whatever, all that stuff started in my home church, in my home, my home, but my home church, my school. But in my church made space for me to do those things. And they were just so happy watching me do these things and seeing me grow and develop.
Right.
And they recognized gifts in me that I didn't see, wasn't looking for, wasn't thinking about. And so when I came back years later saying, yes, the Lord has called me, and I wasn't excited about that. That's another story. I had one of those half-hearted, okay, if that's what you say, okay.
I know that one. You shout.
Yeah, that. Can I just maybe I can just do this part. I'm okay with this part. I really don't want that.
That's the truth.
But they weren't surprised. They weren't surprised. I think, again, I was, but they weren't, because I think they had seen it, and they had seen it, those gifts in me, those gifts growing in me.
Right.
They had seen evidence that God was there in some kind of way. And so affirming our children, our youth, looking and seeing the gifts God has placed in them. And I'm gonna tell you now I deal with a lot of different folks, because I've been a college chaplain, and even though it was a church-related school, that's the official designation. It's just a school with folk that everywhere else, because these are folk who come to school, and so that's who we deal with, and they dealing with whatever issues here that they were dealing with. So that stuff doesn't just drop off because they came to college.
Right.
But now, and they knew eventually, even some of them that didn't really know me, but they kind of knew. I might call them out on stuff, but I learned to not be harsh with them.
Right.
I was firm. I was serious. I was over the chapel, that chapel forum, and sometimes it was worship, sometimes it was programming and other stuff. And they knew I had certain expectations. They knew if they started clowning, which they didn't try, most of them didn't try that because they knew I was going to walk them on out of there. And if I had to, I'd call security. I told them, I said, well, I got security's number. So if I need to,
I can do it. I can call them. I'll push that button. Don't you try that. Wow.
But we developed a relationship. That's what I said. We developed a relationship.
Right. Right.
And there was some, of course, a lot of folks didn't want to be there. So this was a requirement, and they didn't want to be there. And I understood that. But I said, now look, while you're in here, this is what we're doing.
There you go.
This is what we're doing. And so I was walking around doing chapel. So if you sitting back there slouching, trying to go to sleep, no. They sit up. I said, hey, tap your friend on the shoulder. Sit up. And they didn't want me to come and do that. So those who were there, they knew I would.
Right.
Now I wasn't nasty to them, but they knew I would.
Right.
And they didn't want that. So we learned. I'm gonna say we learned how to get along for the most part in that space. And I knew that a lot of times I was going to be the only faculty member teacher that was in there. And so I did have some students help me, but my thing was I knew I had to set a certain tone.
Right.
I knew I couldn't ease up. I'm like, no, this is what we're doing. So, and they knew. So if they had that pick up in their head, I'd start, and they take it on out because they don't want me coming up there. And I see students on the campus now. I'm not one of these folks that wants guys to get put in jail or get a ticket because they got their pants drooping. But I would say to some, I'm riding on the campus, I'm coming through. And I roll my window down and I say, hey, come here. And then this boy, I see he's pulling his little pants up while he's walking to my car. And so I'm like, well, okay, now you already knew that. Okay, so you already know that.
Right.
But I think that there's a way that you can communicate with people.
Yes, most definitely.
Even people whose habits or the way they dress or whatever is not, and I'm not going to say necessarily to my liking, because we have different tastes and styles. And I understand that. And people come from different places and different experiences. But what I would say is this: if it's not going to be helpful to them, one of the things I would say to my students in chapel was, I'm trying to teach you some new habits for new places.
Right.
So you're going to go some different places from here. And you're going to have to learn how to function in different kind of ways for what you have known, for what you've been doing, to go be in this space now.
Right.
And so part of what we're doing here is learning new habits for new places.
Right.
So that when you go there, even though you may not like this show right here, this whatever they're taking you to, you know how to sit up there and act like you got some sense.
Right.
You know how to function. And it doesn't have to be an issue because you're learning that here. But it has to come out of building a relationship with people, out of taking people seriously.
Right.
So when we talk down to folks whose dress we don't like or whose speech we don't like, or whatever it is that we've decided we don't like about them. Um, that's counterproductive. It just doesn't help.
Right, right, right.
But instead, if we start talking to folks, so before I lived in Alabama, I'm in Birmingham. I lived in a neighborhood in Fort Worth, Texas, not far from downtown, but we did have some drug activity in my neighborhood, and it was one of those every now and then, you might hear a shot or two fired off, and so that's just where I live.
Right.
Uh, but I had this house on the corner, and if I was out in the yard or out of the front porch or in the driveway, whatever, and I see some young guys and I did young guys, so I'm gonna speak to them.
Right.
Hey. And got to know some of them. I was doing some work in one of the schools that was nearby, and some of those students lived over there. So I saw them over there at the school, and I'm speaking and talking, and no big thing, just trying to get to know who they are and see what they're about. And one of my neighbors and I decided we were going to start meeting with some of the young guys in our neighborhood because we were concerned about them and the path that they could take.
Right.
And we did that. We invited some men to come join us from time to time and talk to them, but we met with them and tried to encourage them and just help them to think about decisions and how you go forward in life.
Right.
But there was one of them that really had some sway with his friends. And so I was able to say, hey, we need you to round up some of your friends for us. And we're going to meet on my front porch, or we would meet on my friend's front porch. We're going to meet on the front porch, and we're going to hang out for a little while. But I need you to round up some of your friends. And he would go do it. But it was because we'd already been talking and he was comfortable around me.
Right.
I think he understood that I didn't look down on him, didn't think less of him.
Right.
In fact, he was, I could see, hey, he's a leader. Because when he told those guys to come on around, they would come on around the corner and meet with us. Wow. And some of it was just getting to know them, taking the time to talk, and being careful to not harp on all of those things about, how you look, this, that, and the other. But getting to know folks,
right.
Showing them that you care, showing that you see them as someone of value, opens a whole lot of doors to be able to talk about the more important things.
Right.
Okay, I'm talking a lot.
No, that's so true, Dollie. And I think that if we, all of us, if this world would understand that, and we would finally get that, and that's something I had to learn too. It's about opening up and have conversations to get to know a person. Because you're right, we all come from different things, and we've all had different experiences in our lives. But when you start, it's not about talking down. It's about being able to see, not the good in other folks, but see God in other folks.
Yeah.
Well, and that may sound crazy to a lot of people, but I don't look at anybody to see the good in them. I look to see the God in them because I know.
Yeah.
I know if I'm sitting up there talking to you and you're breathing, He in you.
That's right.
So I ain't gonna have a conversation with you. I'm gonna have a conversation with God.
Mm-hmm.
And when you that puts us on equal footing.
Yeah.
Because what you got in you, I got in me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't be looking down upon you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just look right at you. And that's how we start to encourage people and uplift people, because at some point maybe they don't see it in them. You said it before. I know there are some things people say they seen in me. I ain't seen it. That was even before I had glasses. I couldn't see it. But when you have that and people try to encourage you and uplift you, but you have to be able to meet them where they at and just say, you know what? That don't mean you're a bad person. Look, because I don't think people are bad people, and I don't dislike people. Now, let me tell you, I ain't finna set your life. Now, some actions. Them actions. But the person, the choices you made, but the person, and it's not about judging. It's like, I don't like them their actions right there. Woo.
Yeah.
You just stepped on my toe with them actions, but you as a person, because now you can change your actions because of who you are. And when you can give respect, people know how to show respect.
Yeah.
And it works like that. It's that thing. People go in. I've seen some people go in just thinking y'all respect me. For what? I don't even know you. You ain't even done nothing for me to respect, but you want it. That thing, respect is one of those things that's earned. You earn it over time, and you do the things, and you carry it, you walk that daily. That's why them boys be like, oh, hi. Well, put that in your pocket.
Yeah.
But we did in the country. You want to put that. But you learn, and when you can reach that stage with people, you can connect with them. Then at that point you can talk to them about anything.
Yeah.
Because they're now open to.
Yeah. So, and I think two words came to mind while you're talking. One is authenticity. So being genuine, being real with people. Again, and I think we think sometimes that we have to be perfect, and there's none of us perfect. There's no such thing. We may be continuing to move towards that, trying to be more so, but we just, but that's not the goal. But I think being honest and real about personally, right? That's a big thing, and then being consistent.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about the boys in Fort Worth. I think they saw me consistently engaging them.
Right.
So you riding your bike down the road, or you walking down the road. I see you at school, and consistently showing care and concern, and consistently just being present. So when people see those things, I think it helps them to receive us in a different kind of way.
Right.
And again, like you said, if we learn to not talk down to folks, but take seriously who they are.
Right.
So in some of my chapel sessions, we had discussions about sex, and we had discussions about protecting yourself sexually, and I'm because these are concerns, you college students.
Right.
And I got enough sense to know that everybody, and probably most of the folks sitting in there, who were not saving themselves for whatever. And so I want you to protect yourselves if you're going to be active. That's the choice you're making. But also think about why you're making those decisions, and is this somebody that you maybe want to not do that with? Because there are consequences, and there are things that come from that can waylay you, and you don't really want that to happen. Right. So we had some real honest conversations about stuff like that. Things they were going through and experiencing at school. Just so whatever. And I tried to be a person, whether it was in that public forum or as I met with students on campus, or if they came to my office, where whatever they need to talk about, they could talk about it.
Yes.
And even, and I'm going to say this because, and I know, and I understand and respect that people will clean up a lot of stuff if they see a preacher coming and they know it's a preacher, right? And sometimes I ain't even think about that because I'm just trying to come say hello, right? I'm just coming to talk to you. So I ain't thinking about your beer, your ball liquor, whatever
Right,
you see
right.
over there sipping. I'm just trying to say hello because to me that's part of me being a pastor of the community, a chaplain. That's part of me being who I am and connecting with you, saying hello because I see you over there. People, when they are experiencing a lot of anger and pain and grief, whatever, because something has happened, and they say what they really are feeling, and sometimes I have to say, because they try to say, well, excuse me, Pastor. I said, well, look, just say what you got to say, and if we need to fix it up later, we fix it up later. Because right now, what you need to say is what's on your heart.
Yes. Yes.
And just like I believe that God is big enough when I feel so angry that that's the only kind of stuff I know to say. As one who is here as part of God's representation in this moment or whatever, I want you to feel free to be able to say what you need to say.
Right.
And be able to just be there in the moment with you. Because I think that's what God does for us. And that's what I have experienced. And fortunately, I've experienced people who, in my frustration, in my anger, my grief, whatever, they meet me where I am. I like that phrase. But there's another phrase that I use. Um, Allow me the honesty of my feelings.
Wow. Allow me
the honesty of my feelings.
Yes. Yes.
Don't tell me that ain't what you feel.
Come on. Don't feel like that. Now,
come on. That was about to be my next line. Right. Don't feel that way. That's how I feel. What you? And I got good reason to feel this way. What you want me to do? Allow me.
Yes.
The honesty of my feelings.
Wow. We finna do that one more time, Dollie. Allow me the honesty of my feelings. Come on now.
And people that, and I know that's rough sometimes, because when people share what they really feel, I do have a friend every now and then, he'll say, tell me how you really feel, darling. and if I was in the same space, would I be sticking my tongue out? Whatever. but the people that I feel most drawn to, that I feel a closest bond to, are people who allow me the honesty of my feelings.
Yes.
Right. It doesn't mean I'm going to always feel this way.
Right.
But right now, that's what I feel.
Yes,
this is what it is.
I feel what I feel.
I feel what I feel.
And you're so right, because a lot of times people are not at a place where they can accept how you feel.
Yeah.
And you have to say, ain't about you accepting how I feel.
Yeah.
This how I feel.
This how I feel.
You got to accept it.
Yeah.
I can't believe you feel
I do. So, okay.
it ain't about you. Can I have this moment?
Right. And that's exactly it. Can I have this moment?
Right. And
So,
don't be offended by
yeah.
my feelings.
Yeah.
You should be gracious that I'm sitting here sharing my feelings
Yeah.
with you. But
Yeah.
oh no, you can't feel like you feel what? And see, I'm sorry, I cut you off. But then what that does is now it just put this thing up there. I
It
can't even share
does.
with you. I can't
Yeah.
share with you the
Yeah.
honesty of my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I cannot be honest about the fact that yes, I feel this stuff.
Right.
And I know sometimes you have to choose who you share with.
Right.
Right. But it is, as you said, an honor if somebody feels that they can share that raw emotion.
Yes.
And raw pain, that raw grief, whatever, if they feel that somehow it is safe to do that
Right.
in our presence, that means they see us a certain way. They have a certain regard, use that word, for us.
Right.
And again, it doesn't mean that we have to bear and keep all of that. And that's some of the struggle. That sometimes we think we got to keep all of this. We can, if we're in a good place,
right,
then we can help them then to take that to God. We can let them cry it out, wail it out. Sometimes cuss it out.
Yeah.
If that's where they are.
However you need to get rid of it, look
yeah.
here.
Let's go and let's work through that. And I say, hey, we need to fix it up later. We fix them up later, but just say what you got to say, and because I don't want you stumbling over. Well, I can't say because you editing all this stuff because you think, well, I can't say this. Whatever you got to say.
Mm-hmm. Look, because I'm terrible about that. I'm gonna tell you. Two things about me. One, what I try to do if I have some pouring out, I'll ask a question before. Do you have the emotional or the mental capability to handle what I'm about to bring? Because sometimes folks ain't even there.
Yeah.
So I just need to know. I got to unload some stuff,
yeah.
But I need to know before I do. Do you have the mental or emotional capability right now?
Now that's a good question, but here's the thing, though. Even if we ask that, but I do like that question. But even if we ask that, sometimes something, and it may not be even the main thing we're talking about, but something in what we are saying or sharing does trigger something in somebody else. Mm-hmm. And they don't, they may not know they're about to get triggered because they don't know what you're about to say. But even as we realize, oh, okay, that triggered something.
Right.
But part of maturing spiritually, but just maturing in terms of how we relate to folks is said, okay, I'm gonna have to look at that later, maybe.
Right.
I gotta look at that later. But okay, let me try to stay here with with this person about what we talk about here. And sometimes, yes, maybe you can't. And so you just say, okay, hey, I thought I could, but I got some stuff
right
going on. So, maybe I can't listen right now.
Right.
And again, that's allowing them to be honest enough to say, I'd like to, but something's happening in me.
Right. And
but if we can deal, at least put it aside.
Right. And what you found when you can do that is you found another person that is honest with you, and you are honest with them.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
And that is not a very common thing.
Yeah.
And often it's not encouraged. It's, even in church circles, we don't really encourage people. Well, I'm gonna say it this way: we don't create the kind of space that's safe for people to do that.
Mm.
We,
Wow.
we don't create space that's safe for people to be able to be vulnerable like that and share something like that. Um, and that's a problem.
Right. Right.
That's a
Right.
problem because this is supposed to be a place of healing,
Mm-hmm.
place where we can find strength and encouragement, blah, 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 blah. But
Right.
if folk are not safe sharing the fact that they're struggling with something or whatever's going on, and I'm not just talking about before the whole church,
Right.
but we both know uh, you can be talking to one person and then that person takes what you've said
Mm-hmm.
and uses it against you.
Right. Right.
They share it and they just use it to make you look bad and feel bad and or to make themselves look and feel better.
And that broken
So
trust right there, boy. I tell you
oh
that.
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah.
So but I realize this is not again maybe the way a lot of us have learned to engage folks, but I do think we can get better at doing that.
Yes.
We can get better at doing that, and so we have to be real about ourselves and and whatever it is we go through, because even as we are trying to be there for people, it doesn't mean we're not going through things. So we have to be honest with ourselves,
Right.
and it doesn't mean we have to tell everybody everything we're going through, but we have to be honest with ourselves. Hey, but if we can be honest with ourselves that way, we may be able to empathize more with somebody else
Mm-hmm.
who is going through something or just needs somebody to see them and to value them, to show them some love, to speak some words of affirmation. I'm coming back to Grambling, see? Uh,
Yeah.
to show some love, to speak words of affirmation.
Right.
And even, I'm thinking about our lab school. They affirmed us.
Yes.
Most of us, there was not, for many of us, this expectation you're not going to do anything after high school. What
Right.
is that? That's just, there were a few who didn't, but that's just really not, that wasn't where we were raised.
Right. Right.
That was not the expectation. And so you're planning to do something because that's what folk expected of you.
And that's so true.
That's what you were taught.
I'm gonna tell
Uh,
you. I'm gonna tell you this little tidbit right now. It took me the longest. This is honest. I can be transparent about this.
mhm.
Is where I am now. For me, um, after leaving and going off to college and then going off getting married and having my, but it took me the longest to feel that I had, because I felt like I could have been better or could have done
I
better.
understand.
I remember personally for myself, class reunions. For the
Hmm.
first few years, it was hard to go back because
Yeah,
I didn't feel like I
yeah.
could have been, um, but that had to do with self, and that had to do with, man, these people, the teachers, I feel like I would have let them down. Because you feel like I don't know. You feel like you just left the kingdom, and
Right,
I can't come back. I left the kingdom. They sent me
right,
out as a prince. I
right.
ain't gonna go back up in that thing like an old papa. Like, you know what? I just did, and that was me personally. That's how I. That's how I.
Well, but and so that's the other side of expectations. Because if you don't meet them or don't feel you meet them in whatever way, then you have to wrestle with what all of that stuff
Mhm.
means. But I'm thinking back to the teachers because I stayed in touch with a number of our teachers across the years. And especially in my earlier years after high school and college, when I came back home, I was gonna go up there to that high school. I was gonna walk the halls, and I was gonna say hello to every teacher
Right.
I knew,
Right.
because they were just, they're part of our lives.
Mhm.
Well, hey, they were church members, they're neighbors, they're our friends, parents, whatever they were, So it wasn't like these were people who were just some distant part of. They were part of our lives and our community.
Yes.
But expectations, I think, still say to us, even when we don't think we've met them, or even when we think, well, I could have done more with this or better, or I know there's still more for me to read. I think it still says it's in you. It's in you.
Yes.
And when you don't expect anything, so I'm thinking of children and youth who have parents or family members, neighbors, a community that really doesn't expect much of them.
Wow.
And so again, I didn't come from that space, so I don't know what that's like.
Right. Right.
So if I meet you and I engage you, I'm trying to see who you are, and I'm trying to see what your gifts and your skills are, and I want to see you be productive, and I want to see you thrive. I want my kids at the church. I wanted them to go to college, and I want them to do, because that's what I grew up with.
Right. Right. Right.
And I could see something in them,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see possibilities for them.
Right.
But if nobody sees possibilities for us, and nobody shows us these possibilities, then it's a lot harder to ever get there and say, there's something more for me beyond. And I'm this I want to say, but there's a little bit, because sometimes but there's something more than this little space I know. Yeah. So I'm thinking about all the places I've been able to go, and all the things I've been able to do, and the people I've been able to meet, and things I've been able to be part of. I have been to different places in the world. I've been all across this country, and I've had an opportunity to have impact, and sometimes an impact in ways that I don't know and realize.
Right.
But there was a sense of expectation that says, this is in you.
Mm-hmm.
This is possible. You are capable.
Right.
You are capable. Donnie, you capable. I'm just gonna say that to you. Hey, you capable. So hey, but when people say you're capable, I see this in you.
Right. Right. Right.
And I want this gift, whatever this is in you, that's this gift. I want it to thrive. When I see something of God in you beyond just the breath.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
But something that God has placed in you, I want to see that thrive. And so I come to people with expectation, because that's what I came from. That's the space I grew up in. And Lewis Temple CME Church. Expectation. There you go. Across the street from the Collegiate Shop. Shout out to Leon and Dolores Smith.
If y'all don't know, that's Bramley.
That's Bramley. Not all it is, but that's Bramley.
But that's so true.
Downtown. That's
downtown.
But I grew up with people who saw things in me.
Yeah.
They saw capabilities. They saw gifts. They saw the Spirit of God in me. They saw, and they looked at me with expectation. Sometimes even I was looking at, why these people looking at me like that? That's what I was doing when I was doing that little service that Sunday morning during the ice storm. Why are they looking at me like that? Why y'all looking?
But that's so true. If and I believe that, and I just thought when you were saying that, if we don't see and give that to them while they're here.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how difficult it is when you get here?
Yeah.
I tell you, I see something in you.
Yeah.
You like, yeah, all right. But when we start instilling in them and start seeing in them to just be, you can be. You can. It's in you to be. Not because you acting up and you acting like this right now. I get that. You're going to go through your little silliness. Some of us don't ever get
That's
out
just
of it.
life.
But the thing is there's something greater in you.
Yeah.
Something greater in you than this spot that you're in right now. You can explore this world.
Yeah. Now, and I will say this about, because I'm just thinking about, my whatever is past or whatever. Yeah. And I just believe and encourage, and I think that's one of my gifts. I encourage people. And I think part of how that happens is by valuing everybody's voice.
Yeah.
Because I have been in some spaces where, certain people didn't want other folk to speak because, for whatever reason, because they thought they would embarrass themselves or embarrass them, if they were related or whatever, or how they spoke. And okay, but if you're part of this church, I want to hear your voice. If you're in this space, I want your voice to be heard too.
Yes.
And their insights and wisdom that anybody can bring, but not everybody brings the same insight and wisdom. Mm-hmm. And trying to get people to not talk, I think it diminishes the group as a whole, because we need to hear them. And we need to value the fact that even though they may split verbs or they may do whatever, God is in them. God is in them too.
Look, you see the shirt now. You see what it says,
right? I see.
That's the voice, and that was what was behind this for me.
Mm-hmm.
I work for 2 cents is my voice. That's why I said that other thing. Your approval ain't needed. It took me a long time to understand, and I try to tell that to people. Your voice is important.
Yeah.
Stop allowing. One, don't allow anybody to take it. 2, don't give it away.
Yeah.
Don't give it away. You know what? Just, you don't need everybody's approval to think what you think.
Yeah.
You don't. That's where you are in that moment. That's how you think. That's just how you think. And that's okay. Because tomorrow you might not think that way. Something, you may share what you think. You may share your worthless 2 cents with somebody today, and then they could give you something you're like, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Now you think that way now, but you just became that sponge, and you learn something more and you soak something else up. But I tell anybody, don't give your voice away, and please don't let nobody take it.
Yeah. And then there was, because I'm thinking about some certain folks who had lived life. they had done whatever they done, so but in coming back to God or coming to God, trying to get things right, there was this honesty about themselves, and a kind of level of honesty that I think a lot of us don't do and don't learn how to have. But they had an honesty about themselves, and there was an honesty about how they related to God and how they came to God. That to me should have been a model for all of us.
Yes.
That, hey, messed up, done a lot of stuff, blah, 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 blah. But being honest in how we come to God, and not feeling that God is gonna get that big fly swatter,
Right.
but feeling they can come to God. That's powerful
It is.
in and of itself.
Yes, indeed.
And then there are people that, again, I do music, I lead music, I teach music, I do choir, I do all this stuff, but I'm not always looking for everybody's voice or whatever to be perfect.
Right.
But I do, because I'm big on the congregation singing, because I think that's just part of worship, and that's part of what helps us connect with God and connect with each other. But when you bring your voice,
Mm.
even your voice that may be weaker, but you bring it with this honesty
Yes.
and this honest praise to God, uh, there's something powerful in that.
Yeah.
That again we have to learn how to be okay with, because it may not always, we like stuff that presents well. Everything doesn't present well,
See it.
but it's not often supposed to be about how it presents. It's supposed to be about how it honors God,
Mm. That's it.
and what God is doing in that moment, whether it's in that person. And sometimes God will plop them folk right in the middle of where you are to try to get us to some different kind of level, because
Mm.
so we can get off of whatever it is we hung up on
Right. Right.
and encounter the God in that person. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop now.
Well, look, wait. Hey, look, hey, I'm gonna say this. I appreciate it, Dolly. My God, I do. I do. I thank you so much. I'm gonna set back over again. I'm finna shut up for a minute because I'm finna give you this platform right here to deliver whatever it is, whatever message you want to give. You take these last few minutes, Dolly. Um, whatever He has placed upon you, it's yours. It's yours. It's yours. You have your way. Whatever you want to deliver, I'm gonna grab my old cool cook. I'm gonna shut up.
Okay, well, so um, I had no idea how we're gonna fill up all this time. Um,
Like that. And watch the table talk.
um, but I guess I'll summarize some things I've said. Where you come from matters, and I know there are, and I guess in a larger sense, your story matters. Whoever you are, your story matters. Um, a lot of people didn't come from Grambling, at least in the ways I've described Grambling today. Doesn't mean Grambling doesn't have its problems, didn't have it then, didn't mean our families don't have their problems, our churches didn't have it. I mean, if all of these places and people have problems, but it's where I came from. And it's a very important part of who I am. And wherever you came from, whatever your experience is important because it has helped to make you who you are and helped to shape who you are today. When you've had people that see gifts in you, that's a blessing. When you've had people that had expectations because they knew it was possible and they modeled it. That's another thing. We just saw these folks doing this stuff. And so I think that's part of what helped us say we could do this stuff too. It's a powerful gift when you see it before you. And when someone says to you, I see this in you, And this is a special and precious gift, and it's something to be cultivated and built on. It's a gift. And so, even though you may not always feel that you lived up to it, that's a part of what you come from. That's part of what makes you who you are. It's a part of your story. And there's no need to shy away from that or to pretend that that's not a part of who you are. But even if you came from places that were abusive, places that were harsh, places where you felt belittled and demeaned, because I know even in my little space, my little Grambling, our little Grambling, um, there were people who went to school with us who had different experience. And sometimes I didn't know that until we were out of school years down the road. And they said my experience was different for whatever reason. That doesn't have to limit who you are, because those gifts are still in you and there's still possibility. It may not be everything that it was at the time, it may have shifted and changed, but there's still possibility. And so, in this space, in this moment, the gift I want to offer you is someone who looks at you and, as Donnie has said, sees God in you, someone who sees gifts and graces and possibility and a voice, and says to you, I do have expectations because I see what you're capable of. I see what's possible for you. I think another gift we give each other is that the gift of courage that comes from the community. Because sometimes we are seeing these and hearing these things about ourselves or experiencing this call, and we just think, oh God, I can't do this. I don't even see how that's possible. But when others are surrounding us and encourage us, until we can find our own courage, till we find our own strength, and even after, it helps to have a community of people who encourage you and who can dream with you, who will bless you and support you and say, hey, I'm in this with you. And so it may not always be the people you grew up with, may not be the people in your household, may not be your teachers, but there are people who see you and see what you're capable of and see the possibility in you. So find those folks. Thank God for those folks. And take in what they see so that you begin to see it yourself and let it become a part of who you are. Amen.
Amen. Ooh, Dollie, I'm gonna tell you, I ain't gonna even. Oh, Country Boy gonna break real quick. I want to tell y'all, it is this week has been, and to be able to end this week out with you as sitting here bringing us something to the table. Old Country Boy appreciates it. Man, it has been it right here. Um, I greatly appreciate it. Um, just pouring in and pouring out the honesty and the transparency, the love, and it's genuine, y'all. It's real. It is so real. Um, I can't say no more. I really can't say no more. Um, this is the last show for this week, y'all. Y'all ain't gotta look at this old ugly mug no more. I can cheat up if I want to. It's my show. If I want to start crying, I will. Yeah, but just know that if it's tears, it's tears of joy. It's tears of gratitude. Let me tell you something. Y'all have no idea what it means to this old boy to be sitting here and being fed on this side. I don't know what it do for y'all, but I know what it does for me. And I'm gonna tell you right now. I was telling Dollie earlier that there has not been one person that has not been at this table that has not poured into my life. And I appreciate each and every guest that's been on here that has poured something in for me. And I say this from my heart. My mama said, "Give me my flowers while I can smell them."
Yeah.
Give me my flowers. I don't need nobody to dance on my grave. You can't dance while I'm here. So I say this to you, Dolly. I ain't got no bouquet of roses. Wait, old country boy down there.
Oh Lord.
Y'all should know the old country boy always ready for some. Old country boy, he got some. He always got some. But I appreciate you so much. I thank you. I thank you for coming. I thank you for taking the time out to come to the table and be the chef for the night. Man, they could eat all weekend off this meal. Y'all just keep on. Look, this one's so good. Like they used to do. You put some of it in the freezer. Just go back. It ain't gonna spoil. It ain't going nowhere. Y'all can eat up on this thing.
Thank you for asking me, and just thank you for your courage. Thank you for your courage. Because you could have said, "Hey, I don't know what all of this is," and maybe you have. Like, okay, I don't know what you're looking for.
You won't let me sleep. I ain't doing no show. Wake up. I'm not doing this. But
it takes courage to say yes and to go out there on faith and take these steps you've been taking. And I appreciate that. I value that, and it encourages me and pushes me a task of times when I need to say, "Okay, Dolly, go on now." Come on, Dolly.
I try to say this is that if you trust him, and I'll say this: if you trust him, he'll lead you. But you got to get your hands off the wheel.
Yeah,
you really got to take your hands off the wheel and know that wherever he's leading you to, he knows the end destination. He knows the end destination. But as so many people have said on here, and I will reiterate it, you got to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
We're worried about how you're gonna get there, but enjoy every step along the way. Because I'm telling you, there's some beautiful stuff. There's some beautiful stuff on this journey called life. Don't spend so much time looking ahead that you look where you're at.
Right.
I said that. That was pretty good.
You did. That was good.
I should catchphrase that.
I know you will. I know that's going to be the next T-shirt.
To God be the glory. Hallelujah.
Amen.
I appreciate it if y'all didn't know. Dollie, look here. Well, you got to introduce yourself again. I mean, we went through the whole thing. Tell me
okay. Again, I have so much to say. Okay, but I did put my other name in it, D. Marie. So I sing. D. Marie sings. And so you can find me DMARIESINGS on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. D. Marie sings. I'm not on Twitter much, but I got a page, so I got to work on that. Got to work on my Instagram, but I'm out there. I create music. I sing. I record. I do music, and so I don't just do church stuff. I do music because I love music, and it speaks to me, and I think that when I sing it, it speaks to folks. So
yes, and I'm gonna say this again, and I push this so much. If anybody's out there listening, and I'm sure there's one or two, or passing on to a friend, everybody that's been on this show, now go support them. Go support them. Go follow them. Go like that. Again, I know folks be all uptight about something. Look here. It don't cost a single dadgum dime to go follow and share a like. Okay?
Yeah.
It does not cost you nothing just to go like, ooh, let me hit the like button. Okay, you do it on everybody else stuff. You don't even know them folks. But
Yeah.
look here. You ain't ooh like. Look here. The people that have been on here, y'all can go follow and look at the people that's been on this show. Each and every one of them has came here to offer something to all of us. Genuine, transparent, and true. And they laid it right here at the table. Fed all of us. So go like, go share, go support them and what they're doing. Because guess what? They out there doing it, trying to help all of us, helping the community, helping our children, helping this world. Man, it don't take much. It don't take much. It don't take much. I said what I said. Y'all don't like it. Y'all don't watch me no more. I don't care what I said. What I said. Myself, I ain't going nowhere. Thank you, Lord. Look here. Again, follow my guests, each and every one of them. Go like their stuff. Go support them. Go support them. Show them some love. Show them some love. Because that's what they came on here and did for each and every one of us. Gave us some love. Genuine love. Genuine love. And guess what? It was free. I ain't like them apples. I said what I said. Look here. We up out of here. I thank each and every one of y'all for watching, for stopping by. I appreciate it. Because I do know that you didn't have to. And if you're watching this, I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time. For the rest of the week, y'all ain't got to look at this ugly mug. Guess what? I ain't got to look at y'all neither.
It's so silly.
But I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate y'all. We'll be back next week, Monday. To all of y'all, I'll miss y'all on it. But hey, happy Mother's Day to the mothers. Boom, boom, boom. I appreciate y'all. Do what you do. Happy Mother's Day.
That's right. Give them some stuff.
I can't give you. Wait a minute. Hold on. I can't give you Happy Mother's Day. See, I always got some stuff. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Much love to each and every one of y'all. I thank you so much. I thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in. Before I end the show, you know what I got to say. I love each and every one of you unconditionally. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Y'all have a good one night here. Thank you, Dollie. We finna get on up out of this thing. Bye, y'all.